F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin is the sequel to F.E.A.R, obviously. However, the game does not follow the original story, so to speak. It's not a continuation, it's more of like a parallel story. So instead of happening after the original F.E.A.R and after the sequels that came after it, Project Origin picks up with a new player, or sorry, a new character, Michael Beckett, a part of a Delta Squad, just before the end of the original F.E.A.R. Now, if anyone who hasn't played that, you should probably play it first, because there are major spoilers throughout the game for the original, and also you're not going to understand pretty much anything that's going on. The game is all assumed knowledge. Now, the game, as you can see, looks as gory as ever. There's blood out the arse everywhere. You shoot someone and they're gonna, bits are gonna come off, basically. Shotguns are very gritty. There's a particular weapon in the game which turns people into burnt skeletons. I just shot that guy in the face with a 12-inch long rod, and he's still kicking for some reason. Other than that, though, the game looks pretty damn good. Everything's really impressive. Shadow and light is very good. However, you will see some low-res textures and some obvious seams in some of the environments. Apart from that, those low-res textures, you will only really see them if you run right up to them. However, from a distance, everything looks grand. There's good levels of shine and darkness. You can actually change the level of brightness to your liking. However, darker is better with this sort of game. And in general, sound is also excellent. Weapons sound, they have a great punch to them, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Everything sounds very unique. The assault rifle sounds great. It's very different from the SMG, which is a similar weapon. One thing I didn't like with the sound, though, was grenades. They all sounded a bit weak to me. Another thing that is good in the game with graphics is the effects you get with the slow motion, which has returned, as you just saw in this game. Enemies will actually light up, so it's like a form of, extra sensory perception or something. You'll be able to see them more clearly in the dark areas. As I said, shadow and stuff, that was all done very well, crisp, stuff like that.
The stairs? What the fuck, Top? It's like 1,000 fucking stories.
Gameplay in F.E.A.R 2 is very much similar to the original F.E.A.R. Perhaps somewhat better, but that's for you to decide. I think it's about the same, maybe a little bit better, but it's really personal interpretation of that. Firefights are especially fun, especially with the way that the firefight will affect the environment. You will go through a certain number of environments throughout the game. I'll get to those a little bit later, but just back onto the firefights. Enemies are reasonably smart. I would say very smart, but there are times they show, well, selective intelligence, I guess you could say. But they will, try and flank you and find cover and protect someone, a major enemy, so a more armored person, they'll get behind him and give him cover and stuff like that. And they'll try and flush you out with grenades and suppressing fire and stuff like that while someone else flanks. It all works really well. Weapons are very good, as I've said before. They all sound excellent. There's a pretty small range of weapons, but they're all very unique, so they all work really well. There are a few special weapons. One of them is sort of like a plasma cannon sort of thing. I'm sorry I didn't remember the name for it. But it wasn't particularly useful because it was only available by my count twice in the game. I did find myself sticking to the assault rifle and automatic shotgun throughout pretty much the entire game once I got those weapons. Now, apart from the regular soldier enemies you'll come across, you'll also come across what I'm fighting right now, which is called a remnant, which are people possessed by Alma after the explosion destroyed Auburn, which is the city you're in. And they pretty much will stay in the area that you get in, and they will reenact their final moments. And if you disturb them, they'll scream and set off a huge thing of psychic energy, and your screen will go funny colours, and then they'll possess corpses around them to fight you, and they will run away. And they're very tough to kill. and they're very fun to fight in gameplay. However, I can count the times on one hand that I actually encountered them. Maybe I missed a few, but I don't know. Another type of enemy is the replica assassin, which I was just fighting here. They're almost invisible, and they're really interesting to fight, and well, if you are prone to seizures, fighting these guys will probably kill you. So have fun with that. Other than that, gameplay is the same great standard that it was before.
Have you ever seen a hippopotamus fight? They start grabbing and wagging their tails really fast and shit just flies everywhere. It's fucking insane.
So right now everybody's probably wondering, is F.E.A.R 2 scary? For me, the answer is no, but it really depends on what scares you. There were only 2 times in the game where I was actually tense and a little bit scared, but other than that it was all just stock standard F.E.A.R, and I knew what was going to happen in terms of the horror elements. I think the main reason for this is that in the original F.E.A.R, the horror came from atmosphere and the haunting, because Alma haunted you. She never, really directly did anything to you. It was always, oh, she's here somewhere sort of thing. In F.E.A.R 2, she attacks you, not in a way that you can so very much defeat her, but it's those pop-up and boo sort of scares that just, they don't work. Well, at least not on me. Some people may be scared, but I didn't find it scary at all. Now, there are some problems in the game. There are a few things you're going to notice a few times, some physics-based problems. As I showed at the start of this segment, it looked like there was a spleen balancing atop a crate. I don't know what it was, but it was there. Sometimes enemies will, when you kill them, lag into the environment and get caught and start shaking and noise, and the physics engine makes the noise of the impact. And other times, weapons and intel items will fall through the floor or through a piece of cover or something like that. Now, there are some problems with the AI as well. It is smart, but sometimes it's not particularly smart. For example, you'll ambush them and they'll just stand there and shoot at you. They won't find cover. And other times they'll go for cover and they'll take cover behind something like a bookcase, which is essentially just framework, and you can shoot straight through it. But for the most part, the AI is good. However, it was quite noticeable when they did something stupid. Enemies in the game are also good, but the failed experiment enemies, which you'll recognize when you see them. I didn't put them in this video, but the first time you encounter them, it makes sense and it is a very tense moment. But every time after that feels tacked on. Also, the mech sections in the game, they break it up, but they don't last long enough to make an impact on the gameplay, and the sections themselves are very broken up. Like, you have to get out and go open a door and come back and get back in, and it just doesn't work. And they're very linear sections. Another problem I had with the game, which is something that I noticed I liked better in the original, the intelligence gathering. In the original, you'd check the phone messages and email and stuff like that. In this one, it's just items highlighted on the ground like books, and that's it. And it's all very simple, and you can easily see them. You can see them through walls because they've got the heads-up display marks around them, and that's about it. All in all, though, F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin is a great game, but it's not a F.E.A.R game. That's what I've been trying to say throughout this entire review. On its own, this would be a good game that didn't make much sense, but was good and fun to play anyway. But without that, if it's using the F.E.A.R name, it doesn't feel like F.E.A.R. Apart from Alma sometimes coming and fucking shit up. It's okay, I guess.